So I recently passed the milestone of meditating for 1,000 days. And one of the early things that drew me to meditation was mainly curiosity. I feel over the last few years there's been a little bit of a buzz surrounding it, and it's definitely grown in popularity. In this video, I want to cover what drew me to meditation, what I learned over my time practicing it, and finally explaining how I meditate and cover some of the common obstacles that people encounter during their practice. So let's start at the basics. Why meditate, and what about it makes it so popular? Some quick research online shows an overwhelming amount of studies showing the positive benefits of meditation. Some of the notable mentions are the ability to live in the present moment, vast improvements in anxiety, reducing PMS symptoms, relieving the symptoms of insomnia, and helping to lower your blood pressure. One of those alone could be life-changing depending on the person, but the one that really stands out for me is the ability to live in the present moment, and that's being mindful in your day-to-day actions. I believe this is more important today more so than any other time in history, as we are constantly flooded with information and triggers to help pull us away from the present. I heard it best with the quote, "There are 3 keys to a good life. You want to learn from the past, plan for the future, and live in the present." The problem is, most of us are haunted by things that have happened in the past, and we live in fear or anxiety of what the future holds for us. And as a result of both of these things, we ignore the only moment we truly have power over, the present. Truthfully and logically, there is absolutely nothing that can be done about things that have happened in the past, as we can't go back in time and change them. We can only influence our future by taking action in the present moment. So it actually makes sense just to live life in the most mindful manner possible. So what have I learned during my practice? Well, firstly, in my opinion, saying that you don't need to meditate is like saying that you don't need to put petrol in your car. Generally, you can only run for so long before you'll run out of energy. There are 2 big things which I gained from a long practice of meditation. The first one is non-judgmental awareness. For me, this is the art of becoming aware of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions without bearing any judgment on them. It's the ability to recognize that just because we think something, it doesn't mean that we are something. This proved to be really powerful in separating negative or unhelpful trains of thought with who you believe you are as a person. The moment you can create this separation and view your thoughts, feelings, and emotions objectively is the moment that you actually don't have to become them. So for example, just because you feel angry, it doesn't make you angry. Or maybe just because you feel happy, it doesn't mean you have to be happy. The true act of changing how you feel is understanding that it's not about changing the thought or the feeling. It's working to change your action in response to the thought or the feeling. I honestly believe there is a time and a place for every emotion. Meditation simply drives a practice of becoming mindful. Being mindful allows you to become more aware. Building awareness helps to create space. Space creates time, and time gives you the choices to allow you to do something different. The second big thing I gained from meditation is the ability to let go. Sitting down on a daily basis to understand and check in with what your mind does over a prolonged period helped me to understand just how busy all of our minds can be. When observing just how much we think on a day-to-day basis, it helped me to understand that what we think and feel can change every single day. I built a practice around watching my mind wander and then bringing it back to a single focus point. Doing this every day helped me cultivate a skill of letting things go. Now, being able to do this in your practice is powerful, but it's amplified to a new level when that mental habit starts to spill over in your day-to-day life. So how can you start to meditate, and what are some of the common obstacles that you can avoid? Let's start with your objective of meditation. To put it simply, the aim is not to clear your mind. The aim is also not to achieve some Zen-like state. Make the objective of your meditation just to observe your mind. If this is your goal, it's absolutely impossible to lose. I sit down every day and I decide on a focus point, and I usually choose that to be my breath. I focus on each breath in and each breath out, and eventually your mind will wander. I end up thinking about something that I need to do with my day, maybe something that happened in my past, or I start thinking about things that are going to happen in the future. Instead of fighting my mind at that point, I observe it. I tell myself, oh, I'm thinking. I let that thought go and I go back to focusing on my breath and I start the process all over again. You see, the moment that you realize your mind has become lost in thought, you're no longer lost in thought. The best way I heard this summed up is every time you notice your mind wandering, it's the equivalent of doing a bicep curl for your mind. A prolonged practice will eventually train your mind to start catching yourselves in trains of thought, and this starts to spill over into your everyday life. Now, this is like unlocking a new superpower, because what tends to happen to most people is they encounter an unhelpful train of thought or a negative thought, but on autopilot. Now, this negative train of thought ultimately leads them to take an action which they later look back on and usually regret. This practice will help you to better notice these in the moment and give you the option to let these go before they go on to consume you. So if you're going in with the right intention and objective, the only other thing that generally stops people from building a long practice and a habit out of this is the idea that every meditation has to be perfect. The truth is, consistency is the key to mastery. Every meditation doesn't have to be perfect or last for a certain length of time. There were many days on my journey where I simply sat down for a few minutes just to tick the box for that day. Now, those particular sessions definitely did not change my life, but the fact that I showed up kept me on track. It kept me in the game and it allowed me to build a routine which eventually led me to the profound sessions which did go on and change my life. Finally, I choose to cultivate a concept from Buddhism called Shaoshen. Now, this simply means beginner's mind. With regard to meditation, I choose to believe there is no end goal. There is no mastery. There is simply showing up and improving every single day. Now, being 1,000 days in, I'm by no means a perfect being. I still make mistakes day in and day out, but the only difference is I show up as a beginner every morning and I aim to be a little bit better every single day. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it's driven you to kickstart your new meditation habit, let me know in the comments. I look forward to catching you in the next one.